One of the most common things I see when looking at e-commerce Google Ads accounts is the fact that each feed is not separated by country in the sense that the actual prices of products you're pushing. So let's say, I don't know, you're selling mechanical keyboards. When somebody searches mechanical keyboards, and let's say they're in Canada like me, they see a US price. And I actually went over this in one of my other videos, but today I wanted to break down how you actually fix that issue and make sure each country that you're actually serving ads into actually has separate prices, right? The correct prices. So, like, again, a Canadian person does not want to see a US price, and they also don't want to be sent to a landing page with a US price as well, and vice versa for any country you're really targeting. Okay, so let's talk about from an ad standpoint what that looks like, how you actually get that set up. The reason that I'm actually screen sharing the ad account here is just to show you we have separated campaigns by country. I recommend you always do this. Again, if you're running, Canada, US, any European country as well, make sure they're all segmented. Two reasons. Number one, performance. Number two, so we can create separate feed labels in the sense that, again, we can push a separate price and only pull products from a specific feed for that country. Again, so it's not mixed and match, right? Because otherwise it's just going to be a mess. That's also going to harm your performance and also get you a lot of product disapprovals. You might already have mismatched product price coming up. So this is really going to be about how you fix that. Okay, so jumping into the first step of this process, to be transparent, I use a third-party tool for this. It's called DataFeedWatch. The reason being, you can very specifically set up different feeds for each country. So you can see here, again, we have one for Google Shopping US, one for Google Shopping Canada, again, because we have specific currencies for each feed. Which is going to be pushed into Merchant Center, which is then pushed into an ad account. So that's the three-step process that we're really using here. And one of the other prerequisites that I want to mention and make sure that you have in place is the fact that you have a different website or subdomain if a person is visiting from a different country. Again, meaning if I'm from Canada, I need to be sent to a Canadian site, whether that's a .ca site, whether that's like a subdomain ca.yourbusinessname.com or like a /enca. So any of those variants work. It's just you need to make sure that actual website or subdomain actually exists, right? Because without that, then really there's not as much of a point because people are redirected to US price anyway, and then you're also going to get a mismatched price warning within your feed or in Merchant Center because again you're pushing a Canadian price, but again you don't even have a Canadian price on your website to match to. Okay, so that's exactly what we did here. The process is very, very simple. You want to add channel, and then you can select the actual channel name. So like by default, it says Google Shopping Canada. So here, just to show you an actual example, you can choose a country from the dropdown, and then you select the channel. So if we go to United States, we can go to Google Shopping. There's other channel options here. We're doing Google here for now. And then we're going to click add channel. And then for me, that actually pushed me just straight to the feed, setting up the attributes. Again, that's because we already have a feed previously set up, like we already have an account. But for you, there might be a few more steps, like adding in your actual kind of Shopify backend URL. If you're on WooCommerce or any other platform, it's different, but most website providers have an integration with DataFeedWatch. Installation, super simple. You install an app in your Shopify backend, and then it's a DataFeedWatch app, and then you put in your Shopify URL, it syncs by default, and then you can just create, again, once you already have one feed created, you can create another one for a different country. Okay, but we're going to go through this example as if, again, from an optimization standpoint, making sure we push the correct price. All you really need to do, again, if by default you're on USD, it's what we did here was we added in a suffix, right? We added suffix as in the Canadian price so that if we actually preview the price is in Canadian. So it's not pushing X and X amount USD, it's pushing X and X amount Canadian. And again, the way that it knows the price is because on your actual page, the one that we're actually matching to, your website, all of those are listed into Canadian prices. And then it knows to exactly push which to push correctly. And then one more attribute we actually want to edit as well is sale price, because again, if your products are on sale, we want to make sure that we push the correct currency for that. So the same thing, we add suffix, Canadian price, again, so it doesn't show whatever default currency or USD. And then of course, one of the most important things as well is just making sure that you are using the correct URL. So when you preview in here, you'll see X and X URL. It might be your default US site. You can just do a replace single value. So replace it from your .com to the .ca site for example. That's the simplest way. And that way, when it's pushing to specific product pages, as long as you have that mapped on your backend, so it's the same like product variant URL, it's just the fact that it's Canadian that's changed to the .ca. That way you can actually just make sure that it's sending to a specific page. So exactly what we did here, right? We're making sure that for the specific feed for a country, we're pushing it to a .ca site. We are showing the correct price in Canadian dollar, and then we're also showing the correct price when it's on sale in Canadian dollar as well. So the sale price is Canadian dollar. These are the three most important things that you need to edit. Again, easiest way to do it is within a feed optimization tool. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to import this feed into Merchant Center. We're going to set up a designated one there. So navigating into Google Merchant Center, what you want to do is you're going to be hit on the overview side, and then at the bottom part there's data sources or data sources. So you want to click on data sources, and then you want to go here, and then you want to add a new product source. And again, you can see the finished product here. We have one for Canada, one for US. The way that we are able to import it is just through the file URL. So if you go into DataFeedWatch, you'll see that there was a feed URL, and you want to basically just use that, and then that's how you create the product source. I clicked add product source, and then it's like you need to enter the .xml file from DataFeedWatch. You add that here. Every 24 hours is good. And then the key thing you want to make sure is that you've selected the correct country, so you can edit and then deselect whichever country you don't want to target with this feed. Again, I typically recommend one per designated currency or country, and the language, and then also the marketing method. So again, if you're running Google Shopping ads, make sure that you've actually selected Google Shopping ads as a marketing method, because if you don't, then that feed won't be pushed and you can't use it for ads. And the same thing that you need to make sure, this is super, super important. Once you've set up both a US and Canadian feed through DataFeedWatch or any other type of feed optimization tool, you want to make sure that the other old feed that you were using is not pushing to shopping ads, right? Because what's going to happen is you're just running duplicate IDs, you're running two of the same product, and then all of a sudden your data is skewed. And it's harder for the algorithm at the end of the day to optimize, right? Because it's not correct data and not a correct input from a feed. It's all jumbled together. So you want to make sure for your other feed that you deselect shopping ads and you deselect display ads, because display ads, that's more so on the dynamic remarketing side. That's what it's typically used for. So you also don't want to be pushing anything from that feed as well. Okay, so after you've added in the URL and created the product source, you might just need to rename it, obviously, just so it's clear, you know, what specifically it's for, the marketing methods. And then the one thing I want you to make sure, again, is there's a little currency section. Make sure you have the correct currency selected. Sometimes the default one is okay, but again, this just makes sure that you are kind of bulletproofing the fact that you are actually pushing the right currency for this feed. And that's really what you want to make sure in Merchant Center. It might take kind of 12 to 24 hours to actually sync the product if you've, again, done all the steps correctly. If it didn't, then you want to make sure that you've actually properly created the DataFeedWatch feed and the products are actually existing in DataFeedWatch. So when you look at the different channels, like I was showing you, there's actually a number of products. And then you want to make sure that we actually show products here. Like we do, we have 900 products. So for the final step, going back to the Google Ads account, super, super simple. What you want to do is click the gear icon. This is particularly for any campaign type that has a product feed. In this case, simplest kind of terms would be Performance Max or standard shopping campaigns. So the example I have here is a Performance Max campaign. You want to click the gear icon, and then you really just want to select the feed label. So exactly what we did, right? If you look back in your Merchant Center account, we had one feed for Canada, one for US. We see it syncing here, and then we just want to select that specific feed. And then that's going to make sure that we're only advertising products that are within the specific feed label. Because again, if you take the example where I didn't have any feed label selected, you run the risk of Google actually serving Canadian prices or product disapprovals like you might already have now. That's really the three-step process to make sure that you are actually serving the correct price for searchers in the correct country that they're in. And this, technically speaking, should clear any mismatched product price issue you see, because a lot of the times, or it might say mismatched currency or something like that, a lot of the times that's going to be because of that discrepancy between your landing page and the price that you're pushing within the feed. Hopefully this video was useful. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And if you actually want me to get this set up for you, my calendar link is in the description, so feel free to book a call with me. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.